Working for the United Nations sounds like it's so much fun, and it's basically the dream job. We all want to work for the United Nations because we just feel like we are going to be solving society's problems. Now, here are some of the things that I'd like you to understand, even as you try to pursue a career at the United Nations or with any of their agencies or government or pretty much any non-governmental organization. Now, you've been asking me how you can apply, where to find the information and whatnot. I'm going to give you one link that will basically give you all you need, and it's going to be your stepping stone towards getting into your dream job at the United Nations. Cool? I'm going to start with saying it's a lot of work. Ask anybody who works in the United Nations or has worked for the United Nations. And please bear in mind that I said I work with, not for the United Nations. So I'm not yet in the system, but I am part of the system. So there's a little bit of some difference there between working for the United Nations and working with the United Nations. Now, we all want to work for the United Nations. However, you have to prepare yourself and understand to say working for the United Nations is a lot of work. And like I said in my previous video, working for the United Nations doesn't necessarily mean that you have to work in the United Nations, like the actual organization, but you can work with partner organizations, you can work with different agencies of the United Nations, UNESCO, UNFPA, UNDP, and pretty much different parts of the United Nations, right? So like I said, I'm gonna run you through a little bit to just give you an idea of what you are to expect and what you should do, right? Also, you can work with the United Nations either as a staff, where you get employed and you benefit from the employment benefits and stuff like that, or as a volunteer. This is where you basically apply to be a volunteer in different spaces, different parts of the world, different parts of the country, or you can work with or for the United Nations as an intern. So you have to understand where you fit, and different qualifications calls for different types of working with the United Nations. So if you are well qualified and have massive experience in NGO works, in working with humanitarians and stuff like that, then you can apply for staff employment. Usually you have to have a master's, a PhD and stuff like that. And then as a volunteer, usually you might have maybe a degree in something, and then as an intern as well, you need to have some level of qualification. So if you probably have a diploma or you haven't been to school yet, you might consider or want to advance your education, get a degree, get a master's, get a PhD and things like that, because it's very competitive. What I wanted to say is it is very competitive, so you also have to bring in your A game. I know I'm not supposed to say this, but I'm going to say it either way. Working in the UN or for the UN itself might be impossible for most people. So what you want to do is affiliate yourself with agencies or with organizations that are partner organizations with the United Nations. Because like I said earlier, guys, the United Nations is basically a group of individuals coming together in form of countries and saying, this is what humanity is facing. How can we address the challenges and provide the solutions we need? And also, I'm also going to emphasize this. If you want to work for the United Nations, what are the motives behind you working for the United Nations? Is it because you think there's good pay? Is it because you genuinely have a heart for the people? Because you can't work in the United Nations, for the United Nations, with the United Nations without having a heart for humanity. It starts with you caring about the next person. Also, I like to think of it as the United Nations being you and I. How can you contribute to the Sustainable Development Goals, the 17 SDGs we have? How can you contribute to making the world a better place and giving everyone a sense of belonging and leaving no one behind? If you're a teacher, how are you ensuring that the kids you are serving have good quality education? If you're a nurse, how are you ensuring that health education is being promoted even with your patients and stuff like that? If you're a lawyer, how are you ensuring that human rights are being upheld even in what you're doing? So working for the United Nations, I know we all want a position, you want to intern, you want to volunteer, but it starts with what you're doing in your personal life, in your current job. If you are a nurse, what are you doing there? If you're a doctor, if you're a teacher, if you're a lawyer, if you're an accountant, what are you doing where you are at? And also, it's not just the United Nations, we also have the Africa Union, and I think that's a good place to work at, because remember, the Africa Union, the United Nations, government, everybody is working together to help humanity. With that being said, if you would like to pursue a career in the United Nations or work for the United Nations, you can go to careers.un.org. That's careers.un.org, and find out everything you need to know about interning, about volunteering, and basically applying to be a member of staff at the United Nations or the different agencies that are under the UN. But like I said, it starts with me and you. What are you doing in your small capacity? I am working with the United Nations. My organization is basically pushing Agenda 2030 forward because I believe it's my responsibility, it's your responsibility to champion the sustainable development goals. I'm not getting paid directly by the United Nations, no, but the fact that I'm part of the system and I am speaking into humanity's needs, that is an achievement for me already. So yeah, there you have it. That's careers.un.org, and see how best you can work around that. Get your qualifications, get your experience, and have humanity at the core. At the end of the day, we're here to serve humanity. So if you want to work for that, then go for it.